You know exactly what it sounds like. That sound of the clock ticking in a room that is far too quiet. You're lying there, staring at the ceiling, wondering when the real version of your life is finally going to begin. You're waiting for a sign, a spark, a massive cinematic shift where everything suddenly clicks into place. You're waiting for the day you wake up and you're just ready. But that day isn't coming. And the terrifying part? You know it. You feel it in your guts. The slow, sinking weight of reality. The version of you that you see in your head is drifting further away. You think you're stuck because you lack willpower. You think you're failing because you aren't hungry enough. But that's a lie. You are failing because you are addicted to the fantasy of the leap. You want the summit, but you despise the ground beneath your feet. So, stop looking for the mountain to move. It's not going to. And today we're going to talk about why that's the best news you've ever heard. Because the change you're looking for isn't a leap, it's a sliver. And if you're brave enough to look at it, it will destroy the person you are, so that the person you need to become can finally breathe. Most people treat their lives like a video game where they're waiting for a power-up. They wait for the right motivation, the right opportunity, the right year, and the right mood. Then they treat success as a binary, as 0 or 1, success or failure, gold or dust. And this is how you stay average. This is how you rot. Nature doesn't work in leaps. Look at a mountain. It wasn't built by an earthquake. It was built by the relentless, invisible grinding of tectonic plates. Look at the ocean. It doesn't break a rock with a hammer. It breaks it with the steady, rhythmic persistence of the tide. When you aim for a quantum leap, when you try to change your entire life in a week, when you try to launch the business, get the body, and learn the language all at once, you are setting yourself up for an inevitable, violent crash. Why? Because the human brain is a creature of comfort. It treats sudden change like a threat. It views massive intensity as a trauma to be survived. So, you burn bright for 3 days, you feel the hype, and then you crash. You go back to the default setting. The 1% rule is not about motivation. Motivation is a pathetic emotion. It's temporary. It's a chemical burst that leaves you hungrier than before. The 1% rule is about randomness. And if you are not improving by 1% today, you are decaying by 1% today. There is no neutral gear in the universe. Everything is either growing or dying. Think of this like a razor blade. If you leave a blade in a humid room, it doesn't rust overnight. It's imperceptible. On day 1, you see nothing. Day 10, a speck. Day 100, the edge is ruined. You don't notice the decay while it's happening. You only notice it when you try to cut something, and the blade fails you. Your life is the same. Your habits, your focus, your discipline, they are either sharpening or they are dulling. The 1% rule is a mathematical law of compounding interest applied to your soul. If you get 1% better every day for a year, you aren't 365% better. You are 37 times better. But here is the dark truth that the hustle gurus won't tell you. The beginning of the 1% is lonely. Because in the beginning, it looks like nothing is happening. You read the books, you hit the gym, you study the craft, and when you look in the mirror, you see the same face. You check the bank account, you see the same numbers. This is the valley of disappointment. This is where 99% of people quit. They equate activity with progress. They think if they aren't seeing results, they aren't moving. But you are moving. You are building the foundation. You are, quite literally, rewiring the biological architecture of your brain. In anime, they show the training arc, the protagonist training in the rain, hitting the same tree day after day. It looks boring. It looks like hell. But the moment of triumph isn't the fight at the end. It's the fact that they didn't stop on the days when it felt like a waste of time. And what do you think? Why do I call this dark motivation? Because consistency is not a happy habit. Consistency is a predator. It requires you to kill off the version of yourself that wants comfort, the version that wants to procrastinate, the version that wants to be liked. To commit to the 1% rule is to accept that you are going to be boring for a long time. You will have to say no to things. You will have to sit in rooms alone. You will have to do the work when you are tired, when you are angry, and when you are grieving. Most people seek motivation because they want to feel good about doing the work. But I'm telling you, forget feeling good. Learn to enjoy the friction. When you are tired, that is not a sign to stop. That is the feeling of your old self dying. That is the feeling of your potential being forged. Every time you push through the resistance of a 1% day, you are burning away a layer of dead weight. You need to become obsessed, not with the goal, but with the process of not breaking the chain. If you miss a day, you don't quit. You don't spiral into guilt. You realize that you are human, and you get back to the 1%. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is persistence. Perfection is for the fragile, but persistence is for the dangerous. And now, imagine yourself 1 year from now. Not the version that made a massive, life-altering jump. Not the version that hacked their way to success. Just imagine the version of you that chose the 1%. You are quieter. You are calmer. You have a stillness in your eyes that unnerves people. Why? Because you know exactly what you are capable of. You didn't become a powerhouse by screaming into the void. You became a powerhouse by becoming a machine of steady, unrelenting movement. When you operate on the 1% rule, you stop caring about validation. You stop caring about the timeline. You start to view time as an ally instead of an enemy. While the people who are chasing big results are racing against a clock they can't control. But you've accepted the long game. You have entered the flow state of life. You realize that success is just a byproduct of a standard you set for yourself. You don't need the outcome anymore to justify your effort. The effort is the reward, and the process is the weapon. So here we are. The end of the video. You can click off, go back to your scrolling, and wait for the big break that will never come. You can keep looking for a shortcut in a world that doesn't have any. Or you can start tonight. Don't try to change your life tonight. That's too big. Just find the 1%. What is the one thing you can do right now? Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Now, that makes you 1% better than you were 5 minutes ago. Read a page. Do 10 push-ups. Fix one bad habit. Write one line. Just one. Because the difference between the person you are and the person you want to be isn't a mountain. It's an inch, and you're standing right on top of it. So, start walking.